What's up everyone and welcome back to the World History Channel. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button today. Let's get started. How much education OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush received prior to the disappearance of the Titanic sub on June 18, 2023. The terrible news broke that a submersible passenger vessel had gone missing more than 400 miles south of St. John's, Newfoundland, in the Atlantic Ocean. The American-built craft, known as the Titan, was carrying 5 passengers. British businessmen Hamish Harding, Shahzada Dawood and his 19-year-old son Suleiman, French explorer Paul-Henri Nargeolet, and Stockton Rush, the CEO of OceanGate Expeditions, the company responsible for the journey. Other than Rush, they were all commercial passengers, and each paid a reported $250,000 to venture to the seabed and explore the wreck of the Titanic, the cruise ship that struck an iceberg and sank in the same waters on its maiden voyage in 1912, killing an estimated 1,500 people on board. In the days that followed, a collaborative search and rescue effort from the US, the UK, Canada, and France made headline news as rescuers raced against time to bring the craft to the surface before the passengers ran out of air. Meanwhile, news outlets sought to uncover what might have gone wrong on board the submersible that led to such a catastrophic emergency, and delved into the history of Rush and his company, OceanGate. Rush was a distinguished handler of various forms of transport, whose company had been in operation for many years. However, there were also a few notable disagreements regarding OceanGate's safety measures. On June 22, 2023, the Coast Guard announced in a press conference that the Titan likely imploded, killing all aboard. Rush was 61 when he died via CNN. Stockton Rush's impressive resume. Look at just some of the notable achievements throughout his career. And it's no surprise the late OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush was a well-regarded submarine captain with a business that involved taking wealthy, paying customers to explore the Titanic wreck. Rush first rose to prominence in 1981 as a teenager. At the age of 19, he received a DC-8 type/captain's rating at the United Airlines Jet Training Institute, making him the world's youngest jet transport-rated pilot of the day. From a wealthy oil family, Rush graduated from New Hampshire's Phillips Exeter Academy and earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Aerospace Engineering from Princeton University. Afterward, he earned a Master of Business Administration from the University of California, Berkeley, the New York Times reports. While in college, Rush spent his vacations as a subcontractor for Saudi Arabian Airlines, flying passengers to Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Since then, Rush was involved in various companies, some of which were focused on marine technology such as radar. More saliently, Rush built his own aircraft and submarine, the latter of which he dove with more than 30 times. He once dreamed of becoming an Air Force pilot but was ineligible for training due to poor eyesight. In 2022, Rush told CBS Sunday Morning via The Times, "I think I can do this just as safely by breaking the rules," referring to his company in deep-sea tourism. A specialist in submersibles. Stockton Rush founded OceanGate Incorporated in 2009, which according to the company's website is an ocean exploration venture focused on providing crewed submersible services to enable researchers and explorers to access the ocean's vast resources. The company has operated 3 submersibles since then, including the Titan, an innovative craft built from modern lightweight materials to reduce operating costs. The website claims that OceanGate has undertaken over 14 expeditions and more than 200 dives in total. The company does not specify how many of those were captained by Rush. But the history of OceanGate to this point isn't entirely unblemished. As reported by several news outlets, there was some controversy at the company concerning a 2018 complaint to the Occupational Safety and Health Administration filed by the company's Director of Marine Operations, David Lockridge, who was fired after raising doubts about the safety of the Titan. A court filing by Lockridge's lawyers warned that paying passengers would not be aware, and would not be informed of the Titan's experimental design. The concerns were raised the same year the vessel suffered a catastrophic implosion, based on Coast Guard findings per CBS News. Lockridge's position was supported by a number of experts in the industry, including the Marine Technology Society's Committee on Manned Submersibles MTS. Lockridge and others warned Rush of Titan's safety shortcomings. OceanGate sued Lockridge for breach of contract. As MTS chairman Will Conan told Guardian News in 2018, the Titan was an outlier because it was one of 10 submersibles that could go to ocean depths of 4,000 meters but was uncertified, with no oversight during design, fabrication and testing. Haunting photos show late OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush test diving his Titan sub. Boston exclusive Stockton Rush, the 61-year-old adventurer and CEO who died this week along with 4 other crew members in a catastrophic implosion near the bow of the Titanic, appeared in a series of never-before-seen surreal images captured during testing of the vehicle years ago. In the series of May 2018 photos taken in Abaco, Bahamas, and obtained by Fox News Digital, Rush can be seen peering through the vessel's lone porthole, testing out computer equipment inside and posing next to the 21-foot submersible on the deck of a ship before the test run. They were captured by underwater photographer Becky Kagan-Schott, who said Rush had tested the vehicle numerous times in the area and she befriended the adventurer. The Titan was designed to reach depths of 4,000 meters, according to OceanGate, the company Rush founded in 2009. It was meant for a variety of purposes including scientific research, media production, and site surveying. Missing Titanic submarine found. Crew killed in deep sea catastrophe, Coast Guard says. The Titan sub vanished Sunday morning 1 hour and 45 minutes into a dive toward the wreck of the Titanic. The U.S. says that response teams found the sub's wreckage on Thursday morning. Coast Guard, bringing sad closure to days of a harrowing search at sea. Rush previously had experience in aviation, becoming the youngest jet transport-rated pilot in the world at age 19 in 1981, according to his bio on the OceanGate website. He became an F-15 flight test engineer and later worked with sonar and wireless technologies for marine applications. In 1989, Rush personally built a Glacier 3 experimental aircraft, which he still owns and flies, according to OceanGate. He obtained his BSc in aerospace engineering from Princeton University in 1984, and his MBA from the UC Berkeley Haas School of Business in 1989. Then he got into deep-sea diving, completing dozens of trips in a modified Kittredge K352-person submersible before building the Titan, according to OceanGate. Wendy Rush, Stockton's widow, is a direct descendant of Isidore and Ida Strauss, 2 of the more than 1,500 people who perished when the Titanic struck an iceberg and sank in 1912 while making its maiden voyage. Search and rescue teams from the US, Canada, France and the private sector all joined the effort to try and find survivors, but the Coast Guard revealed Thursday that a deep-sea robot had recovered debris on the bottom of the ocean floor, about 1,600 feet from the Titanic's bow. The debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber. Upon this determination, we immediately notified the families, U.S. Coast Guard Rear Admiral John Mauger told reporters. On behalf of the United States Coast Guard and the entire Unified Command, I offer my deepest condolences to the families. The OceanGate CEO was piloting the vessel. Crew members included British businessman turned adventurer Hamish Harding, father and son Shahzada and Suleiman Dawood, who are members of one of Pakistan's wealthiest families, and Paul Henry Nargeolet, a former French Navy officer and leading Titanic expert. These men were true explorers who shared a distinct spirit of adventure and a deep passion for exploring and protecting the world's oceans, OceanGate said in a statement. Our hearts are with these 5 souls and every member of their families during this tragic time. Several remotely operated vehicles, or ROVs, will remain in the area to gather more information, according to Mauger, but he said he could not estimate the prospects of whether the victims' remains could be recovered. On June 18, 2023, the terrible news broke that a submersible passenger vessel had gone missing more than 400 miles south of St. John's, Newfoundland, in the Atlantic Ocean. The American-built craft, known as the Titan, was carrying 5 passengers: British businessman Hamish Harding, Shahzada Dawood and his 19-year-old son Suleiman, French explorer Paul-Henri Nargeolet, and Stockton Rush, the CEO of OceanGate Expeditions, the company responsible for the journey. Other than Rush, they were all commercial passengers, and each paid a reported $250,000 to venture to the seabed and explore the wreck of the Titanic, the cruise ship that struck an iceberg and sank in the same waters on its maiden voyage in 1912, killing an estimated 1,500 people on board. In the days that followed, a collaborative search and rescue effort from the US, the UK, Canada, and France made headline news as rescuers raced against time to bring the craft to the surface before the passengers ran out of air. Meanwhile, news outlets sought to uncover what might have gone wrong on board the submersible that led to such a catastrophic emergency, and delved into the history of Rush and his company, OceanGate. Rush was a distinguished handler of various forms of transport, whose company had been in operation for many years. OceanGate's safety measures, on the other hand, were the subject of some notable disagreements. On June 22, 2023, the Coast Guard announced in a press conference that the Titan likely imploded, killing all aboard. CNN reports that Rush died at the age of 61. Stockton Rush's impressive resume offers insight into why he was trusted with such a high-profile mission. His history in aviation and engineering was extensive. At just 19 years old in 1981, he received a DC-8 type/captain's rating at the United Airlines Jet Training Institute, making him the world's youngest jet transport-rated pilot at that time. Coming from a wealthy oil family, Rush had access to elite educational institutions. He graduated from the prestigious Phillips Exeter Academy in New Hampshire, and went on to receive a Bachelor of Science degree in aerospace engineering from Princeton University in 1984. His thirst for knowledge didn't stop there. He furthered his education with a Master of Business Administration from the University of California, Berkeley's Haas School of Business, which he completed in 1989. During his college years, he worked as a subcontractor for Saudi Arabian Airlines, flying passengers to destinations across Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Rush's career didn't follow a straight path. He had initially hoped to become an Air Force pilot, but his ambitions were curtailed by poor eyesight, which made him ineligible for military training. Instead, he applied his skills and passion in different areas, including building his own Glacier 3 experimental aircraft in 1989, which he continued to fly throughout his life. He also entered the field of sonar and wireless technologies for marine applications. Rush eventually turned his attention from the skies to the ocean. He completed dozens of trips in a modified Kittredge K-352-person submersible before setting his sights on building something more ambitious. In 2009, he founded OceanGate Incorporated, a venture aimed at enabling researchers and explorers to access the ocean's vast, largely unexplored resources via crewed submersibles. According to the OceanGate website, the company has operated 3 submersibles, including the Titan, an innovative craft designed from modern materials like carbon fiber and titanium to reach depths of up to 4,000 meters. The company claims to have completed over 14 expeditions and more than 200 dives, although it does not specify how many of these were led by Rush himself. Despite the company's achievements, not everything was smooth sailing. In 2018, OceanGate's Director of Marine Operations, David Lockridge, filed a complaint with the Occupational Safety and Health Administration after raising safety concerns about the Titan. Lockridge was terminated from his position and later sued by OceanGate for breach of contract. In turn, Lockridge filed a counterclaim, arguing that the Titan's design was experimental and that paying customers were not being informed of its risks. His concerns were echoed by the Marine Technology Society's Committee on Manned Submersibles, MTS, whose chairman, Will Conan, stated that the Titan was an outlier among deep-diving submersibles because it was uncertified and lacked third-party oversight in its design, construction, and testing phases. This lack of certification became especially alarming after the Titan's implosion. In 2022, Rush appeared on CBS Sunday Morning and controversially stated, "I think I can do this just as safely by breaking the rules," referring to the traditional methods of ensuring submersible safety through regulation. This quote, in hindsight, has attracted scrutiny and criticism. Test photos taken in May 2018 in Abaco, Bahamas, by underwater photographer Becky Kagan show Rush preparing the Titan for a test dive. He can be seen peering through the sub's porthole, testing onboard computer systems, and posing next to the 21-foot sub on a ship's deck. Schott stated that Rush had performed numerous tests in the region, and that she had become friends with him through their shared passion for exploration. The Titan was promoted as a cutting-edge, multipurpose vehicle suited for scientific research, media production, and site surveying. Its final mission began on a Sunday morning and ended 1 hour and 45 minutes into a descent to the Titanic wreck site. On Thursday, the Coast Guard confirmed that debris found on the ocean floor, about 1,600 feet from the Titanic's bow, was consistent with a catastrophic implosion. Rear Admiral John Mauger stated during the press conference that the remains of the pressure chamber had been found and that the families of the victims had been notified. Stockton Rush was piloting the sub at the time of the implosion. The other victims were Hamish Harding, Shahzada and Suleiman Dawood, and Paul-Henri Nargeolet, who had previously served as a French Navy officer and was regarded as a leading expert on the Titanic. OceanGate released a statement mourning the loss of these true explorers who shared a distinct spirit of adventure and a deep passion for exploring and protecting the world's oceans. Search and rescue operations employed a number of remotely operated vehicles, ROVs, which were expected to remain on site to collect additional data, though prospects for recovering the bodies were uncertain due to the depth and nature of the implosion. Interestingly, Stockton Rush's connection to the Titanic extended beyond professional interest. His wife, Wendy Rush, is a direct descendant of Isidore and Ida Strauss, two of the most well-known victims of the Titanic disaster. The couple famously refused to be separated during evacuation and died together. Stockton Rush's story is thus one of complex layers. An accomplished engineer, a risk-taker, an adventurer, and a man with a deeply personal connection to the very site that marked his end. He was a man of immense credentials and ambitions, with a Bachelor of Science in Aerospace Engineering from Princeton and an MBA from UC Berkeley, but he was also a figure surrounded by controversy, largely due to his unorthodox approach to safety in deep-sea exploration. Whether seen as a pioneer or a cautionary tale, his legacy is forever tied to the tragedy of the Titan and the enduring mystique of the Titanic. Stockton Rush's educational background and career before the Titan's submersible disaster. The tragic disappearance and subsequent implosion of the OceanGate submersible Titan on June 18, 2023, shocked the world and raised urgent questions about the safety protocols, engineering decisions, and leadership behind the ill-fated expedition. At the center of these discussions was Stockton Rush, the CEO of OceanGate Expeditions, who was piloting the vessel when it catastrophically failed during its descent to the wreck of the Titanic. Rush's background, particularly his education and professional experience, has been scrutinized in the aftermath of the disaster, as experts and investigators seek to understand how a man with such an impressive resume could have been involved in a venture that ended so disastrously. Early education and aviation achievements. Stockton Rush was born into a wealthy family with deep ties to the oil industry, affording him access to elite educational institutions and early opportunities in aviation and engineering. He attended Phillips Exeter Academy, one of the most prestigious preparatory schools in the United States, known for its rigorous academic environment and history of producing influential leaders in various fields. Exeter's emphasis on critical thinking and intellectual curiosity likely played a role in shaping Rush's later ambitions in aerospace and marine exploration. Even before completing his formal higher education, Rush demonstrated an extraordinary aptitude for aviation. In 1981, at just 19 years old, he earned a DC-8 type/captain's rating from the United Airlines Jet Training Institute, becoming the youngest jet transport-rated pilot in the world at the time. This achievement was a testament to his technical proficiency and determination, traits that would define his career. Higher education. Aerospace engineering and business. Rush's academic pursuits continued at Princeton University, where he earned a Bachelor of Science in Aerospace Engineering in 1984. Princeton's aerospace program is highly regarded, blending theoretical physics with practical engineering applications, knowledge that would later inform Rush's ventures into submersible design. However, despite his engineering background, Rush's approach to deep-sea exploration would later draw criticism for what some experts viewed as a disregard for established safety protocols in favor of innovation. After Princeton, Rush pursued a Master of Business Administration (MBA) from the University of California, Berkeley's Haas School of Business, graduating in 1989. This combination of engineering and business education positioned him uniquely as both a technical innovator and an entrepreneur capable of commercializing his ventures. His MBA likely influenced his later decisions at OceanGate, where he sought to make deep-sea exploration financially viable through cost-cutting measures, such as using unconventional materials like carbon fiber in the Titan's hull, a choice that would later be heavily scrutinized. Early career: aviation and submersibles. Rush's career trajectory was marked by a blend of aviation, engineering, and, eventually, deep-sea exploration. During his college years, he worked as a subcontractor for Saudi Arabian Airlines, flying passengers across Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. This experience not only honed his piloting skills but also exposed him to the logistical and operational challenges of commercial transport, a background that would later influence his approach to OceanGate's business model. Rush started out wanting to be an Air Force pilot, but he couldn't see well, so he switched to engineering and making things in the private sector. He worked as an F-15 flight test engineer, further solidifying his expertise in high-stakes mechanical systems. Later, he ventured into sonar and wireless technologies for marine applications, signaling his growing interest in underwater exploration. In 1989, Rush built a Glacier 3 experimental aircraft, demonstrating his hands-on engineering skills and willingness to push boundaries in vehicle design, a mindset that would later extend to his submersible projects. Founding OceanGate and the Titan submersible. In 2009, Rush founded OceanGate Incorporated, a company dedicated to advancing crewed submersible technology for deep-sea exploration. OceanGate's mission was to make the ocean's depths more accessible to researchers, filmmakers, and wealthy adventurers willing to pay for the experience. The company operated multiple submersibles before developing the Titan, a vessel designed to reach depths of 4,000 meters, deep enough to explore the Titanic wreck. Rush's vision for the Titan was ambitious. He sought to reduce costs by using carbon fiber composites instead of traditional titanium or steel, a decision that drew skepticism from industry experts. Unlike most deep-sea submersibles, the Titan was not certified by any regulatory body, a fact that became a point of contention after the disaster. Safety concerns and industry warnings. Despite Rush's credentials, OceanGate faced significant criticism over safety. In 2018, the company's director of marine operations, David Lockridge, was fired after raising alarms about the Titan's structural integrity. Lockridge warned that the carbon fiber hull showed signs of stress fatigue and that the vessel lacked proper safety certifications.